A lot of people listen to Donald Trump. They listen to what he says. And when he says things like hang them, it elicits a reaction from a lot of his supporters. I'd say the number of death threats we get went up by a factor of 10. We get them on a weekly basis now. Whether you're a country or an individual or an organization, you shouldn't bow down to the United States president. The guy's a bully.
This US Senator Mark Kelly has been described as the Trump administration's public enemy number one. Last November, Donald Trump attacked the Arizona Center and other Democrats with this Truth Social post, accusing them of seditious behaviour punishable by death. It happened after Senator Kelly, a former astronaut and a US Navy captain, there he is, aged about 18, and 5 other Democratic lawmakers released a video urging members of the military to refuse orders if they felt they were illegal, following US strikes on alleged drug trafficking boats. The Pentagon tried to demote Mark Kelly's military rank and tried to cut his pension. That's been blocked, though, by a judge, and a grand jury have declined to charge him with seditious conspiracy. But what happens when your own president brands you an enemy of the state? Well, let's ask him. Good evening to you. Welcome,
Good evening,
Senator.
Victoria.
What is it like?
Well, I said something that Donald Trump didn't like, that I guess he disagrees with, and he immediately said, seemingly within minutes of finding out about this, that I should be hanged, executed, then prosecuted. And then he put the full force of the Department of Defense. I served in the United States Navy for 25 years. He sent DOD after me, and then he sent the Department of Justice after me. I guess he figured out that I wasn't going to be hanged, so then they were trying...
Well, he rode back via his press secretary on the death bit, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, somebody told him that's ridiculous. We're not going to start hanging U.S. senators because they said something you didn't like. By the way, what I said was follow the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is the law in the U.S. military. Very simple and basic. But then he goes after us. And I'll tell you this, a lot of people listen to Donald Trump. They listen to what he says. And when he says things like hang them, it elicits a reaction from a lot of his supporters.
Have you had death threats?
Many. The threats against myself and also my wife.
And just to remind our audience, they probably don't need reminding because they're Newsnight viewers, but your wife, Gabby Giffords, there was an assassination attempt against her in 2011. Mm-hmm. She was shot in the head. So you're saying you are both, and we're showing a picture of her back then, that's a picture you took, you've given us permission to use. You're saying you are both getting fresh death threats as a result of what the president has said about you? Yeah,
I'd say the number of death threats we get went up by a factor of 10. We get them on a weekly basis now, not just against me, but against Gabby as well. After she was nearly assassinated as a member of Congress in 2011, the president, Donald Trump, is so reckless about what he says, often also what he does, and the threats that he makes to not only people but countries. That there are folks out there that, react to what he says, and people listen to him. So
forgive me, gone up by a factor of 10 to what-ish?
What-ish is multiple times in the beginning when this first happened, multiple times a day, still multiple times a week. We had to get security to protect us, 24 hours a day. So that this is still an ongoing issue for us. But let me say something. Mm-hmm. Gabby does not back down from threats that come from even because of Donald Trump, nor do I. We are lifetime public servants. I've fought for the Constitution of the United States and for my country. I'm going to continue to do that. And Donald Trump is not going to stop me from doing my job. He's not going to stop Gabby either.
And he might say to you, you're not going to stop him from doing his job. He's democratically elected. He is commander-in-chief. And he's the boss.
But he's also a guy that apparently does not understand the Constitution of the United States and what makes us a great country. That as Americans, we have First Amendment rights to speak our mind, to actually speak out against the government, to speak out against the President of the United States. It's a fundamental thing. And what he has done to us has chilled the freedom of speech of other Americans, especially retired service members.
What does it say to you about the way Donald Trump is running the United States?
Well, I think I think he was a horrible and failed president in his first term.
And then
He has
people re-elected
exceeded.
him.
Yeah, and then he got reelected as a convicted felon, by the way. And I think he has exceeded all expectations about how bad he can be in a second term. Certainly for me, he has.
What do you think the attempts to not only pursue you, but others of his perceived enemies or perceived critics say about him personally?
Well, I think he's, got pretty thin skin, and he's got a huge ego, and he doesn't like people who disagree with him. He's gone after members of the press, trying to get them fired from their jobs. He, sues media companies. He's suing the New York Times. I think he's probably suing the BBC.
He is.
He has sued law firms. He gets people to capitulate. He's gone after universities. And he's tried to go after me. But I think in me, he picked the wrong person, because this is not going to end by me going away. I'm going to continue to fight this thing, even if it's all the way to the Supreme Court. He has two options here. He continues this pursuit of me. He can try to indict me. I'm going to fight back.
Well, let me
or
ask
he can
you,
go take a hike.
Let me ask you, Senator. I mean, a grand jury has declined to indict you on charges of seditious conspiracy. Do you think prosecutors are going to ask them to have another go?
I wouldn't put anything past this guy. He has shown a habit of doubling down on bad ideas.
What do you think of some of your Democratic colleagues' comments, like Gavin Newsom, for example, who have called on European leaders, you've just come back from the Munich Security Conference, called on European leaders to be much more robust to President Trump? I mean, actually, back in January in Davos, he talked about people in Europe rolling over. He said, I should have bought a bunch of knee pads for all these world leaders. Yeah,
I don't think people should roll over. Whether you're a country or an individual or an organization, you shouldn't bow down to the United States president. The guy's a bully. He's a convicted felon. I'm not going to bow down from him, and my wife Gabby is not either. And what he says and does has had, a chilling impact on retired members of the military in the United States. But I think for all of us, the First Amendment was a thing that we saw that is so foundational in our democracy, and he has now damaged it. And then he's damaged these relationships that we have had for 80 years that has brought economic security and, safety, to the world with our allies and partners. And my sense from being in Munich with the leaders of a lot of our allied nations, prime ministers, deputy prime ministers, foreign ministers, defense ministers, is that relationship is now significantly weaker.
Right.
And people don't trust us.
I want to ask you, how much does a fight with somebody like Donald Trump potentially aid you when it comes to...
Potentially what?
Aid you, help you when it comes to considering whether you will run for president?
Well, I mean, it's not about that for me. I mean, what it is.
And I accept that answer. But yeah. Are you flirting with this idea?
I've not made a decision on whether I would run for office.
What's your instinct telling you?
Well, I never really thought about being a United States senator. I mean, this was not in my plan. I wanted to be the first guy to walk on Mars. I wanted to fly the space shuttle. I got to do it 4 times. I never, as a kid growing up, I didn't think about being in the U.S. Senate.
But now you are. Are you thinking about being president?
Well, I think it would be
Contender.
At this point. I have people talk to me about it all the time. But we have an election in 2026 that I'm really worried about. We've got to get through that first. I will make a decision, with my wife Gabby, with my 2 daughters, and my brother. I have a twin brother who was also an astronaut. Think about for a second how this would affect him. Like, we're identical twins. So, I'll seriously consider this, because we are in some seriously challenging times right now. I don't know if I would be the best person, in this job. I am a lot different than most of these other, 100 senators. I'm one of the very few engineers. I'm the only person with a graduate degree in engineering in the United States Senate. I've got combat experience. That's kind of rare. I spent 25 years in the military. I didn't start out in some state legislature somewhere. I don't think of myself as a politician. You know, I'm a Navy pilot who was so fortunate, you know, and so lucky, in fact, that I had the opportunity to fly this incredible spaceship, you know, 4 times and back. I actually got to fly with one of your countrymen at one point, a guy named Pierce Sellers. He was an American. My brother flew with Tim Peake into space. And I never thought I'd find myself here. So I will obviously think about this. It's a serious decision. I just haven't made it yet.